this week's light roast. And basically what that is when we criticize someone or something in society. And you know, we try to show constructive feedback and love sometimes, but not all of y'all deserve it. And this week I can't say they deserve it, T. Because there was a man in Philadelphia who literally filmed a sexual assault happening instead of intervening. And he was, and the horrible part was he might have been the only one recording, but he wasn't the only one who was around, who could have intervened, who could have yelled, who could have done something to stop this experience. T, tell me what it means for us to be in a world where people feel so comfortable in their boldness that they can do that, and the fact that like no one really did anything until much too late.
Yeah, bro. I think it's disappointing, it's frustrating, and it more than anything, it challenges how I feel about people, right? And how I feel about society and the good nature I really believe that people have. Because if you're sitting on a train, we're talking about a train car, bro. It can't be that big. Maybe what, 20 feet? Like it's not that much space. Like, so, and we're sitting here, and for more than 40 minutes, this woman is being harassed by a stranger on public transportation and raped while people were just standing by. Just like you said, someone's recording it. Other people were just kind of like standing idly by. And like the first thing I thought of was the bystander effect. And I know that it hasn't been proven or disproven particularly, but it's a theory. And it's a theory that states that individuals are less likely to offer help to a victim when there are other people present. And I think that that is so unhuman. I think that that is like antithetical of like who we really should be and who we should be aspiring to like grow to, bro. Like that would be my village or like my I said village, my villain origin story. Like, how could people just sit around and do nothing? I can't fathom that. But I understand it too, because I think one of, and this is almost going to another place, and I understand why people don't. But like when people are being brutalized by the police and there are like 30 people around and a bunch of people recording, I still think the same thing. Like, I don't know what I would do, and I think that that's the hardest part, but I don't know if I could truly sit around and just watch someone be beat or brutalized by myself. And I think that like it would be putting my body on the line, but I think I've seen it so much that I would be compelled to intervene. But most people aren't. Most people feel like they need to mind their own business and just kind of keep going. And it actually reminded me of a moment, and I feel like that moment really defined who I was. It was one Halloween, or maybe the day before. I think it was actually Halloween, and it was maybe about 4 or 5 p.m. It wasn't too late, and I had walked to this tattoo shop to get a nose piercing. So the like my nose is pierced, and that's why I always remember it. We walked to the shop because it was supposed to be like $10, and they weren't taking any more people. So we were walking to another shop, and I feel like that's an act of God. We were walking to another shop, and on the way we had to cross like this bridge that goes over the freeway, and we're walking, we're talking and laughing and just having a good time. And I see a guy climbing up the like gate. And I'm like, what is he doing? That's kind of weird. And he's climbing up. And you know, the gates that stop people from going over the freeway, like they curve in a weird way. So you really have to try to climb over it. And once I saw him throw his like shoulder over the top of it, I was like, oh, he's trying to go over. So I sprinted across the street like a few yards up, and I like was like, "Hey, bro, what you doing? What you doing?" I pulled him down, and I just sat there and started talking to him. And pretty much through the conversation, we sat there and talked for about 15 minutes, and he was just expressing that like no one cares about him, and he couldn't understand why I would stop him because I don't know him. And he just kind of he profiled me. He was a white guy. He was like, "You're a Nevada football player. Like, why would you care about me?" And I took it and ran with it. I was like, bro, exactly. I'm a Nevada football player, bro, and I care about you. I need you
Wow.
to care about yourself, bro. Like, just I don't even know what I was talking about, bro. I was just like, there's just too much life to live, bro. And I understand being down, like, here's some money, bro. Like, go downtown, get some food. Like, do you need anything? And he was just like, no, I think I'm good. But I think for like a week straight, I would just check the news to see if like anything happened to him. Essentially, I know he was homeless, so it's people essentially don't care about homeless people. So I might have never heard anything, but I hope that like that helped him in that moment, and that I hope and pray that it changed the trajectory of his life. Cause he essentially was just saying that no one cared about him. And I was like, bro, like, I don't even know you, but I care about your life. Like, I think you deserve to live and like you deserve to be comfortable. And I think that that is what's kind of missing. And that's what really makes us like people. And that's what makes us a society. And that's what makes us whole and make it grow and make it grow. And like, if you just like kind of stand by and let people like lose their life or like their lives be impacted negatively, I just can't fathom it. So that was kind of a rant, but like I feel so passionately because everybody really matters. Like that's what it means when like somebody says like Black Lives Matter or somebody lives matter. Like that's what it really looks like, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think it definitely is one of those things where I see I'm sort of on maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum. I feel like I don't necessarily have a trust in people in
Mhm.
society as a whole. I think that even from a religious standpoint, I think that, you know, I don't agree with a lot of church ideologies, but I do have a sense of faith of something beyond human beings
Mhm.
because if it's just us, we're all doomed, in my opinion. Now, with that said, I think there are a lot of great human beings on planet Earth, and I think that we do try, we should try. But for me, I've also watched a lot of shows like Law and Order SVU, and so for me, it's very people are very much by standards,
Mhm.
and not even with just sexual assault, with racisms, with all sorts of isms. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I remember even being in a group of people, and some person was making all these like heterosexist, homophobic remarks, and like I remember sort of at the opposite. I did the opposite of UT. I didn't necessarily step up. I sort of just froze. So I was just like,
Mhm.
what's happening here, right?
Mhm.
But I think that those people who did that, they're gonna have to live with that for the rest of their lives, and that poor woman will have to live with the fact that like everyone saw her being brutalized and like no one did a thing. And
Mhm.
so for me, I just think that we have to take these types of lessons and use them to embolden us in the future to say something, to step up.
Yeah.
Because what I want our audience to remember is that intervening doesn't mean you have to fight the guy. Maybe the guy had a gun or a knife or whatever. And there have been stories about people who've tried to intervene and have gotten teeth knocked out or been violated trying to like defend a woman who was being attacked. But y'all could have screamed, someone could have kicked the man's leg, someone could
Yeah.
have done something, someone could have acted like they fell on him. Like there's so many different ways to intervene. It doesn't have to be you turn around, the guy around and trying to fight him. And so I think
Mhm.
that when we think about this fear around intervening, right? I think that we got to remember there are so many different ways to like make an impact, but you got to do something,
Yeah.
right? You got to make some type of effort. If I and like we can relate this to something with much smaller stakes. There have been so many times where like I could have gone and tried to talk with a woman, dance with a woman, done something, but I just sort of sat there and
Mhm.
didn't engage at all. And then I see someone else come and do something later, and I'm like, oh man, what could that have been? But on a bigger level, it's like what's something small that I can do to have a ripple effect?
Mhm.
Because even if everyone just starts screaming and like, yo, get off of her, da, 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 like now you got this attention. If 40 people pull out their phone, you're not even if you got a gun, you're not killing 20 people with your gun. You know what I'm saying? And you think that crowd's gonna let you get, and if there is a gun that you have that can kill 20 people, you think you're gonna be able to reach and set that thing up before 20 people intervene? No. But
Mhm.
it's like we got to realize that if one of us is at risk, all of us all of us is at risk. If
Absolutely.
right, if I feel like I can go and do whatever to one person and no one is going to react, then that means I can do that to every person and no one's going to react.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest issue here.
Yeah, bro. It just feels like a Black Mirror episode. Like, and I think that that is the one thing about social media and like the habit that we've gotten into recording things because they're like, oh, well, we have it on camera and people can do something about it later. But it's like, what do we do now? Like, how can we stop the present harm that's being caused right now? And I think that, like you said, I understand. Like, it takes courage. It takes bravery to kind of step up and intervene in the situation, but I think it no one we're not asking anybody to be a Superman. I'm asking y'all to be the social justice league. Like, I want y'all to, because it was multiple people. They said it was less than a dozen, but more than a handful. So like 6 people can stop one person. Like that's not Luke Cage. Like that's not the Punisher. That's not
Right.
Bane. Like come on, y'all. Like y'all got this. And I think that it sucks that a transit employee had to witness it and he was the one that called 911 when all these other people just were going about their business. So I did see that the police were reviewing the footage and were looking to find some of these bystanders. And the question becomes, should they be punished? And I just real quick before we transition out, I guess I want to hear what you think, Scholar P. Do you think that these people deserve to be punished?
You know what? The funny thing about all of that ends up being that I, I think about, because they were complicit in
Mm,
that crime. This is not like a bank being robbed. I'm sorry, it's not like you could have done something and you didn't. And I feel like you might as well have been his partner or his lookout. It's like
mhm.
it's sort of like the guy who like puts something in the drink and he might not rape the people, but like you alley oop the person. They alley oop the guy. They didn't try to block the shot. They didn't try to guard him. You know what I'm saying? Basketball season
Uh,
is in there. They they
mhm.
didn't they didn't try to steal the ball
And play
beforehand.
no defense.
Right, right. Because people like there was a build up too. T. It's not like he just, to my knowledge, just grabbed the woman. It was like
Mhm.
he wasn't stopped when he was doing the harassing. He wasn't probably stopped when he started touching her. He wasn't
He
stopped when
ripped
he
her
was
clothes. Yeah.
right, right. Like so many things had to happen. And so if I'm the police officer, because I think the thing that when I think about things like racism, I don't think about the extremists. I think about everybody else who was complicit.
Mm,
Like y'all are more dangerous to me. And just like this train station situation, there are more of y'all. There are
mm,
more of y'all. There are more of y'all than there are of that extremist or that person who really wants to cause harm. And so, yeah, like I wouldn't be upset about it because I think that I don't know if people think about violence in that way because I think T what you did was so altruistic and unfortunately I don't think that society thinks about it that way. And so I think making it illegal to be a bystander, I think that might actually push people
mm.
towards, especially with something like sexual violence.
Yeah.
So you telling me if there was a kid and someone and a stranger started putting their hands down the kid's pants or something, everyone watches that they shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I would say go for it, and if not jail time, at least some charges. Y'all watch someone be assaulted and y'all didn't even attempt to call the police, right? Because
Mhm.
if you withhold information or lie on the jury stand or whatever, you can go to jail or that stuff is illegal. Being a bystander when someone's being assaulted in a public space should also be something. You didn't do nothing. You were right there. And so I'm not mad at it because I think that people just need that push as a society. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes the unfortunate is what's needed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like that, bro. I really like that. And it's like I'm never one for like true punishment. I don't know about jail time, but I do think that there should be some new standard created. And I think because it's a judgment of character more than anything. Like you should, it maybe shouldn't be a charge per se, like it shouldn't be a misdemeanor, but it should come up on your record because I think that it does
Mm,
help you understand what this person's character is. And I think that it's definitely grounds to be judged on. So, and I think that that's how most people work, just like you said, like people think in punishments, unfortunately. So if they know that this will hurt them, like people do community service to look good on an application to get a job or go to grad school or something like that. So they
Bruh.
avoid, instead of like, yeah, just like you said, altruistic, they're just like, oh, like it's like, give me a leg up. And I think that that's what capitalism probably does to us. So I think in the meantime, as we're trying to foster better values as a society, I do think that that's a good middle ground, because I don't think we need more people in jail. Again,
Touche.
I'm a prison abolitionist, but like I think that that is, because I was gonna say absolutely not. Like we need to figure out a way, but I think that you kind of gave me a way to think about how we could influence people. And I think it should be some type of restorative justice. I think whatever this 35-year-old man who was actually the perpetrator, I think he deserves to be punished for his crimes in some way, shape, or form. He needs help, because that you have to be a sick individual to do that. But also, I think that those people should sit down. They should have to sit down with that woman and explain to her like their actions, and they should have to listen to her and whatever she has to say to them. And I think that there should be some type of series and some type of training, some type of something, because you got to hit people where they feel. You got to hit people where their heart is, and I think that that's the only way we can get through these things.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I love that it like, could you imagine what's like? Because let's take it out of just sexual violence. Like, what if you were caught being not only an accomplice but a bystander for like even bullying? Because I'm thinking about
Mhm. Oh
high
yeah,
schools
yeah.
and middle schools.
Mhm.
Imagine that showing up on your record when you apply to colleges. Because, like you said, it speaks on your character. And like, of course, people make mistakes when they're young, but like some of these mistakes cause people to go crazy and
Yeah.
commit suicide or come back and contribute to a mass shooting.
Mhm.
And sometimes everyone is a part of it because no one said anything, no one did anything. So imagine someone filming that, put it in this, and I think this sort of another conversation, but like we are so used to living in the world and in the social media world, and it says something that he was like, you know what, let me film this and go viral. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Or even if it was filming it to put the attention on this guy, like I'm living in this virtual reality, but
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
now something is tangible in my reality, in my physical real world reality that has repercussions on me. Like, and not to say that they should necessarily put something on someone's record, but it would be interesting. And I do wonder how like things would change, whether it was for sexual violence or bullying or other types of harms that people inflict on other folks, that other people just stand by and watch.
Yeah.
Like, fuck a bystander. You know what I'm saying?
Bump 'em.
Yeah, yeah. So we got to give y'all the biggest light roast, do better, and hopefully we do find ways to keep those people more accountable.